Hello, everyone. How many of you there? Hope everyone is someplace safe and dry. I don't know about the rest of you, but it's been raining a lot here. Start with the verse of the Kesa. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Got to have atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present with us now. Fragrance of this incense fills our room, protects and guards our minds from wrong thinking. Fragrance of this incense unites us with precepts, concentration, and insight. We offer it for all beings. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I shall become one with the Buddha. I resolve that I shall each day follow the way of life he laid down for us to walk and awaken to his supreme wisdom. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I shall become one with the Dharma. The gates of Dharma are manifold. I vow to enter them all. The goal of wisdom is ever beyond. I shall attain it. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I shall become one with the Sangha. In the spirit of universal fellowship and as a member of the Sangha, I pledge myself to strive for the enlightenment of all beings. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into the world of suffering. May I be happy and well. May no harm come to me. May I learn compassion. May all my friends, family, and those I love be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those troubled in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who have hurt me in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those I have hurt in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all my enemies be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all living beings be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. So this is the second Wednesday of the month. This is a silent meditation night. So we'll sit for 20 minutes silence. I'll use the timer, so if you're muting your sound or muting the sound on YouTube during the meditation, you can set yours for 20 minutes. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here now, and offering candles and incense, hearing the Dharma and training the mind. Great merit is attained. We dedicate this merit to the great Master Shakyamuni Buddha, the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to the 16 guardians and all protectors of the Dharma and their relations throughout space and time, to all ancestors of the Sangha and all beings in the Dharma world. May penetrating light dispel the darkness of ignorance, so that all karma be resolved and the mind flower bloom in eternal spring. May the Dharma body maintain strength and health, and years of life be lengthened for all teachers of this Sangha. May their vows be fully realized, and may they live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma. We pray for those suffering from violence and those who grieve for them, for those living in oppression, for all who are imprisoned who should be free, for all refugees from violence, hunger, and catastrophe, man-made or natural. We pray for the health and well-being of those suffering from diseases of body, mind, or spirit, those working toward the healing of those afflictions. Let's take a moment to pray for anyone personally known to us that we know is in difficulty. May they be serene through all their troubles, and may we realize the enlightened way together. Sabe sata sadahantu avera sukha jivino katang punya phalang mayang sabe bhagi bhavantu te. May all beings always live happily, free from animosity. May all share in the blessings that spring from the good we have done. It's nice to see you all here. Glad you're back, Nina. Where have you been? And hello, Dee and Art and Catherine and Jeff and Nina and anybody I didn't say hi to. So I have kind of a fun thing to share with you tonight. At least I think it's fun. I think you'll think it's fun. So once in a while, when I'm looking for inspiration or just looking for something new that hadn't been aware of before, or looking for something to talk about, I go to, there's a few libraries online of stuff, and I'll kind of click around. Access to Insight's kind of neat because you can click their logo and it'll just give you something random to look at, which is kind of fun. And this came up that way, actually. And it's been sitting on my desk for a while. I cleaned off my desk, so here it is. So this is a sutra called the Subhasita Jaya Sutta, Victory Through What Is Well Spoken. So I got to explain something first. You know, when I started thinking about this was one of my guilty pleasures is I watch Supernatural, the TV show. It's kind of a thing, you put it on while I'm cooking dinner. It doesn't require a lot of mental energy to engage with. It's pretty much the same show every time. And I think they've got like 400 seasons and a few hundred episodes per season or something. It just seems to go on and on and on. But it's this sort of, these two, those of you who haven't seen it, it's these two guys who run around fighting evil. Ghosts and demons and witches and goblins and whatever, you know. And so it's kind of cool because the way, oh my gosh. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm glad you're out of rehab, and I hope that you're okay, that you're healing okay. Broken wrists are tough. You must have had a bad fall, I bet. So I fortunately have not had a broken wrist, but I know a number of people who have, and I know that that's a real struggle to deal with. And with two of them, that must have made life very difficult. Well, we're very glad you're back, and hope that you recover completely and well. Anyway, so, you know, there's the whole fight after the 10th or 15th season, it comes down to these sort of like war between angels and demons. And in Buddhism, there are some beings that sort of correspond to angels and demons, not exactly. And you've probably heard me mention devas frequently. In fact, the Metta Sutta, the whole beginning of that is actually a deva, which is sort of equivalent to an angel in that sort of Asian cosmology. The deva, thinking about a different sutra. I was thinking about the Blessing Sutra. A deva comes down and tells the Buddha, people are always asking about blessings. What's the highest blessing? And there's a number of stories where devas appear. And the Buddha goes to the Tusita heavens, which is the really blissful heaven, talks to devas and so on. There's this other class of beings called the asuras, who are kind of equivalent to demons. Not exactly, but, sort of, kind of. I mean, I suspect that the roots of some of these traditions are, are common. There's probably common roots for some of these things. And so devas and angels probably came from the same idea mythologically, and demons and asuras probably came from a similar idea. So, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know that anybody knows. So anyway, this is a conversation between devas, who are like angels, and asuras, who are sort of demonic. They're divine beings, but they're angry and they argue and they fight, and they throw things at each other, and they throw things at devas and stuff like that. So the Buddha was staying at Savatthi, at Jeta's Grove, and Anathapindika's monastery, which was one of the first monasteries. And there he addressed the monks, saying, "Monks." "Yes, Lord," the monks responded. I'm just going to read this. It's not real long. The Blessed One said, "Once in the past, the devas and asuras were arrayed for battle." So they were going to war with each other. And then Vepachiti, the Asura king, said to Saka, the Deva king, "Let there be victory through what is well spoken." So in other words, instead of fighting each other with weapons, I guess, let them argue about it. And whoever argues the best, let them be the victors. And Saka says, "Yes, Vepacheti, let there be victory through what is well spoken." So the devas and asuras appointed a panel of judges, thinking, "These will decide for us what is well spoken and poorly spoken." Then Vepacheti, the Asura king, said to Saka, the Deva king, "Say a verse, Deva king." When this was said, Saka, the Deva king, said to Vepacheti, the Asura king, "But you're the senior deity here. You say a verse." I don't know the whole junior senior deity thing, but it was, I guess, since it was his idea, he got to go first. So the Asura king recited this verse: "Fools would flare up even more if there were no constraints. Thus an enlightened one should restrain the fool with a heavy stick." Well, when he said this verse, the Asuras applauded, but the Devas were silent. And so the Asura king said to Saka, "Say a verse, Deva king." Well, Saka recited this verse. This, I think, is the only constraint for a fool. When knowing the other is provoked, you mindfully grow calm. When Saka said this verse, the Devas applauded, but the Asuras were silent. So Saka said to Vepacheti, "Say a verse." "Vassava, I see a fault in this very forbearance when the fool thinks he's forbearing out of fear of me. The idiot pursues you even more as a cow, someone who runs away." So when he said this, the Asuras applauded, but the Devas were silent. So Vipaccini said to Saka, say a verse, Dewa King. And Saka said this, it doesn't matter whether he thinks he's forbearing out of fear of me. One's own true good is the foremost good. Nothing better than patience is found. Whoever, when strong, is forbearing to one who is weak, that's the foremost patience the weak must constantly endure. They call that strength no strength at all. Whoever's strength is the strength of a fool, there's no reproach for one who is strong, guarded by the Dhamma. You make things worse when you flare up at someone who's angry. Whoever doesn't flare up at someone who's angry wins a battle hard to win. You live for the good of both, your own, the others. When knowing the others provoked, you mindfully grow calm. When you work the cure of both, your own, the others, those who think you a fool know nothing of the Dharma. When Saka said this, the Devas applauded, but the Asuras were silent. And the Deva and Asura panel of judges said, the verses said by Vipaccini, the Asura king, lie in the sphere of swords and weapons, thence arguments, quarrels, and strife. Whereas the verses said by Saka, the Deva king, lies outside the sphere of swords and weapons, thence no arguments, no quarrels, no strife. The victory through what is well spoken goes to Saka, the Deva king. And that, monks, said the Buddha, is how the victory through what is well spoken went to Saka, the Deva king. So I like that. So these verses are a little complicated, I know, but basically to put it into a nutshell, the Asura king says, if you're angry, you get even more angry if there's nothing to constrain you. So someone who's wise will restrain the fool with a heavy stick, with a club. So talk softly, carry a big stick. I mean, that's kind of that attitude. That's kind of that idea, right? Is, if you're mad, okay, but I'm going to hold a stick over your head to hit you with if you get out of line. And then Saka, the Deva king, is saying there's no constraint better than patience. So if the fool is flaring up, getting angry, be patient with them. If you don't flare up back, if you don't get angry back, then they're not going to. It's not going to escalate. Every martial arts teacher in the world, when they get to the self-defense part, will tell you first thing to try to do is not try to escalate, is to try to not escalate the situation. If somebody's mad at you and wants to hurt you, don't make them madder. Sometimes people make the mistake of, well, I'm not going to go into my history with martial arts teachers, but they're not all the smartest people in the world. But the good ones, will start out by saying, don't get into the fights. Try to de-escalate things. That's the best method of self-defense, and that's basically what they're saying here. And so the judges say, well, the Asuras, they're all about arguing and fighting and weapons and stuff like that. So whoever's stronger gets to, they're going to win. But the reality is the best thing to do is to defuse the situation. If you live for the good of both, your own and the others, when knowing the others provoked, you mindfully grow calm. When you work the cure of both, your own and the others, those who think you a fool know nothing of the Dharma. I love that. And I like, that it's kind of in this fun setting between, the angels and demons going to argue it out. Imagine like if you wrote that as a contemporary performance piece. Never mind. I'm not going to go there. It sort of made my creative juices flow a little bit to kind of work with this thing. But it also reminded me of some things that are, real things. And when I was at White Sands Sunday, Ron was telling me, those of you who go to White Sands know Ron. Ron is the guy, he and his wife live on the grounds and they run the gift shop, and he's the head volunteer, and he's had some illness, which I'm concerned about. So when we took that moment to pray, he's one of the people I prayed for. He was there Sunday. It seemed all right, but he's struggling with some stuff. Anyway, he was telling me that one day last week, that some guy came in. One of the neighbors came in and went looking for somebody to yell at. He was mad. He was really angry. And he found Quincy. Quincy was wandering around out there doing whatever he was doing. And so he kind of really got into Quincy's face. And apparently someone leaving the place had squealed their tires pulling out of the driveway onto the road. I mean, I don't know, all kinds of people come out there just to go to the gardens and stuff like that. And this was on a weekday, so there are no services or anything. And it's a dirt road, so it could be that there was mud on their tires and it wasn't intentional, whatever. But anyway, they squealed their tires. And so this neighbor who lived kind of across the way heard this and was really mad about it, and came over and was yelling at Quincy, getting in his face, and looked like he was going to hit him. And saying that this happened all the time. It happened in the middle of the night. People who leave White Sands squealing their tires, which it's the most peaceful place one of the most peaceful places on the planet. Certainly one of the most peaceful places in Northeast Brevard County. I can't really imagine that it's that big a problem, people squealing their tires leaving White Sands. But if you do it, don't. Anyway, I'm sure there's probably people pulling into the driveway to turn around when they realize they missed a turn or something. I don't know. Anyway, and probably it was way inflated in the guy's mind. So Ron went over and was like, what's going on? And gets between Quincy, the monk, and the angry 250-pound, guy from across the street. Well, with talking to him, he cools him down. Ron didn't go over there and threaten to punch him in the nose. Thank goodness, because Ron just got out of the hospital from heart issues. He just calmed the guy down. Asked him what was going on. And he didn't tell me in great detail about the entire conversation, but, he listened to the man's concerns and let him calm down. And he found out that this guy had a death in his family. I think he said it was his mother who had just passed away. So, clearly dealing with a whole lot of stress. And so if you go into something like that, with your heart set on compassion, again, knowing that somebody's behaving truly, undeniably inappropriately. I mean, there's absolutely nothing appropriate about coming over to a Buddhist monastery and threatening physical violence against a Buddhist monk because somebody squealed their tires out on the road, which is like a quarter mile from the monastery itself. But, when you go into it with a situation of calmness and asking, what's wrong? What do you need? How can I help you? That will defuse a lot of situations. When I ran the office supply store, you get really mad customers sometimes. And, like customer service training 101. Oh, I'm really sorry you're having that problem. Can I help you with it? And just there will generally start to calm people down. But in this case, found out that there's something really much deeper going on. It was sad. So, and I was thinking about this when that same story, I gave a talk earlier this week about the Brahma Viharas, and I was talking about Tonglen, which is the practice of but probably most of you who are on here have done Tonglen with me. I don't know everybody who watches this, but Tonglen is where you take on the suffering of others and return it with kindness in meditation. And the purpose of it is so when you encounter someone suffering, even if it's coming at you in the form of hostility, that you can accept it and you've practiced returning it with kindness. And, the story that I think of often when I talk about that is something that happened years and years ago, almost 20 years ago, more than 15, almost 20 years ago, when Michelle and I were setting up for some event. I don't remember what it was. We were doing something, some sort of event, and had a bunch of errands to run. We were, it was very hectic. We've been running around all day dealing with whatever this was that we had to deal with, and stressed and tired and hungry. We suddenly realized that we were like 3 hours past when we would normally have had lunch. And so we're driving up Woodland Boulevard, and I think it might have been a Sunday or something. It seems like a lot of places were closed. Anyway, there was Popeyes. And so one of us said, "There's Popeyes," and the other one said, "Okay." And so we don't make a habit of fast food, but it was there. It was convenient. So we went in. And so, when we first came to DeLand, I was kind of recovering from going through some pretty tough times, and was renewing my practice, but I had been away from it for a bit because I was other things I was dealing with and had some anger issues. And I mentioned the office supply store. It was a very, it was more than a store. It was a commercial office supply business. It was very customer service oriented. And, it was drilled into me what that meant by my boss, and I drilled it into the people who worked for me. And so when I would encounter like rude or lackadaisical customer service somewhere as a customer, that was a hot button of mine. I would get pretty hot. I would get pretty mad about that sometimes. Michelle will tell you if you ever ask her, have a chance. So we went into Popeyes, and walked up to the counter, and this guy came up, and he was a guy probably my age, gray hair, looked tired, looked like he didn't want to be there, and he walked up and he said, "Yeah, what do you want?" "I'll have a 3-piece spicy white meat with fries." "You want a number 3. How do you expect me to get your order right if you order it like that?" So I felt the heat coming up, I mean, literally, one of those things, I'm going to have steam coming out of my ears just any minute. And then suddenly I see his suffering. I recognize that his feet hurt. He's been doing like the most boring job I can imagine all day, standing back there cooking chicken. Probably got people working for him with zero work ethic at all. He's probably the manager, and he's trying to manage people who just don't want to be managed. And I mean, I'm making assumptions, but yeah, I've worked in fast food when I was young. I know what that's like, And then he's got to deal with jackasses like me coming in and ordering this chicken raw, And so I perceive this suffering, and I just go to breathe it in and take it in and decide I'm going to return it with just calmness, if not kindness. I just said, "Yeah, sure. The number 3, why not?" So Michelle, Michelle had been afraid I was going to go across the counter at the guy, and she's, like she look over at her, she's like about to faint. She's in shock because I responded so calmly. But that's what happens, when you practice this. When you recognize that other people's hostility are the result of their suffering, and asuras, coming back to that, they're reborn asuras partly as a result of some negative karma. Think about public figures that you know.
right now who are highly argumentative. Well, can't have a conversation without name calling and stuff, lying about people and, hurling verbal barbs at them and stuff like that. What's their next life going to look like? Probably kind of like that. They're going to probably would continue to live that in that form. So that's the kind of people who come that way. People who are with the world. So when you recognize that, okay, this is a result of suffering, instead of make it appropriate. I mean, honestly, if I'd managed that Popeyes and I'd seen that guy would probably have been looking for a job. But or at least a firm talking to and an opportunity to correct his behavior, because that's not appropriate. But it's also not going to make things better to get mad. You know what I mean? And with the guy, I was thinking about what would have happened at White Sands if somebody else had been there who wasn't as calm as someone like Ron, had seen, this guy getting in Quincy's face. I mean, that could have ended up being a fist fight easily. And not only that, but, you make your neighbors mad, and then suddenly you've got people calling the cops or the zoning board or whatever any chance they get, and you end up with this situation that escalates and escalates when you could have just said, what's wrong? What can I do? So anyway, that's that. I hope you enjoyed that little story about angels and demons, devas and asuras. And any questions or comments before we close? All right. Well, I don't see anything. So a couple of things before we wrap up. We just announced the dates for a session, a 3-day Zen retreat at White Sands. I'll be there, but it's going to be led by Sensei Jim Ginjo Gallagher, as last time we did it. So I'm looking forward to that. I can use a retreat. I haven't been on a meditation retreat in a while now. Dee, if you email me, I'll send you the link. It's really easy to find, but it's you can go to access to here. I can put the link in the chat. I think I can find it easily enough. Okay. I mean, you can email if that's easier, but I just put the link in the chat for everybody. Anybody can find it that way. And I think, I haven't tried this, but I think even people who play these later, I think can see the chat. But anyway, if you can't find it that way or whatever, feel free to email me. And that's true for all of you. You know how to find me. You're welcome. It's a neat little story. I agree. So anyway, Wednesday, September 15th through Sunday, September 19th. Starts Wednesday night after dinner, in Sunday morning after breakfast. And so I encourage people to stay and go to regular White Sands services afterward. If you want details on that, I'll type another link in here. You can go to my website, the Volusia Buddhist Fellowship website. I've got a website where I've been putting stuff, just trying to get all my stuff in one place to make it easy to find. So you can go there and there's details about it there. And it'll be coming out. If you get the White Sands newsletter, it'll be mentioned in the August newsletter, I'm sure. So I think that's it. So thank you very much for being here. Hope you have a great night. If you're coming to the Zoom meetings, I'll see you tomorrow. And if you're going to White Sands on Sundays, I'll see you Sunday. I'll be there this week, and then I won't be there next week. Next week, I'll be talking to the UU Church of Ormond Beach in a Zoom service. They do Zoom services. So you're welcome, Jeff. All right. Have a great night, you guys.